Welcome everyone to Intergenerational Dialogue. This project is a member-driven project which is initiated by Dr. Ann Hilty and myself, and it was first launched on September 2019. Since then, we have had regular monthly online meet dialogues and around 31 tutorials of BBW Go's digital webinar series. This concept group consists of series of topical dialogues in an online format across the generation of BPW membership worldwide to better understand and engage our members for the health and sustainability of our organization. I would like to remind you that this session is being recorded and will be published on YouTube. So please close your videos if you are not comfortable. So the topic for today is women and leadership across the generation. So globally, we have seen that the status of women in leadership around the world, which is like 193 countries, out of which we only have 25 countries as head of state, and that is only 8%. And if we look at the generation, then the youngest women to be the president or the prime minister of the country is like 34 of Prime Minister of Finland, and 37 years old of New Zealand, who are younger than me. So we can see that how the different generation of women are in the leadership role lately. But looking at comparing it with men, which is like 24-year-old, 24, the last person, man who was a head of state was 24 years old. So we can see that the difference between, the men and women when it comes to age or, just not the gender, even the age factor does make a lot of difference. So with this, with the preview of, idea about how this leadership role of women is implemented worldwide, I would like to show you a video to get an idea about, what we are talking about today. So now let's see the video.
What defines a generation?
Climate justice! Right now!
Is it just about the year you were born? Or is there something more? We may have lived through different decades, different circumstances, different countries, but we all share in the global, everyday push for our rights, for justice, for a world that is equal. Perhaps what defines our generation isn't our age or our background, but the line in the sand that we have drawn. We take to the streets to speak out against discrimination, and we work tirelessly behind the scenes. We stand up for peace.
We are fed up with the war
and economic justice. We start with a statement and watch it become a movement. We have come a long way, but the fight isn't over, and our rights are still under assault. It is time to take action. Let us be the wake-up call the world needs.
The eyes of all future generations are upon you.
Be the first, the youngest, the best, and then make sure no one is left behind. When someone tries to silence you, raise up your voice.
Let us wage a global struggle.
Change everything, or change just one thing. As long as you do something, whether you're new to changing the world or have been in the fight for a long time.
Each knows exactly why we are here.
We are all together, united, for gender equality. And the future we create for women and girls is up to all of us.
Okay, the video that was made by UN Women, this is relevant to today's topic because Generation Equality Forum is taking place next week at Paris. This is something open to everyone around the world. So what you can do is Google Generation Equality Forum and then register, because the deadline is on 27th of June, and be a part of this, which is from 30th June to 3rd July. So be a part of this global conversation. So the next thing that we have today is we have a poll section where you will be able to see a list of questions where you can answer, and we all can see how, we all can understand the mindset of all our members today. Hope you enjoyed, reading out all this list of questions, and let's see what we have as a result.
Okay. So number one, across the BPW generations, do you think leadership is perceived the same or differently? And we have almost everyone who says differently. Do you believe a BPW leader should, and we've got 3 leadership styles here. We actually have 100% on the third one, which is work collaboratively with the team as an equal. The third one, do you believe our BPW at all levels should be, and we've got 3 different styles here as well. We've got the vast majority in the center, egalitarian, equal leadership for both seniors and juniors. On number 4, which is the highest priority, someone wrote in the chat that they all were good and it was hard to choose. Yes, this was just which one do you think is the most important? It's a difficult choice. They are all important. The one by a small margin that people have said is develop leadership skills in yourself and your members. And 5th is just about who we are in this room. And we've got 9 out of 16 currently in leadership positions and another 3 previously in leadership positions. And no one that's not intending to be. And a couple of hopefuls. So there you go. Thank you, Nilima. We're going to go into our discussion portion now. For those of you who were here from the beginning and saw the video, that might enter into the discussion. For the rest of you, certainly these poll results are a place to start. And we just want to highlight the actual name or the topic of today's session, which is women in leadership across the generations, emphasizing the generational aspect. What we're going to do is we're going to put you into 3 breakout rooms so that we've got about 6 people in each room. That gives you a small group to further develop your thinking on this topic, women's leadership across the generations. And after 20 minutes, so you can have good discussion, we'll come back into the full room and have probably another 15 or 20 as a full discussion among all of us. So welcome back, everybody, from your breakout room discussions. And we're eager now to hear what you have to say based on that rich experience, I'm assuming. So who would like to speak? If you could just raise your hand literally on the screen or use the raise hand function so that we can call on you one by one. Who's up first? Okay, Francesca, would you like to speak?
Assuming multiple leadership roles in multiple organizations or in different organizations. And I think the one thing that we have to be careful about is that it's very flattering when people ask you to join a board, but one needs to be really, really careful about protecting oneself and knowing how much you really want and are able to commit to. And of course, the ability to say no when you're asked to do something and you really don't want to, or you can't at the moment. And it's really important to stand up for oneself and take care of oneself. Self-care is what I'm trying to get at. Self-care is extremely important. And there is so much burnout right now. For workers globally, the burnout issue is really in and of itself another pandemic that's occurring worldwide. So I caution all of us, yes, step up, be in leadership roles, but also take care of yourself.
Thanks, Francesca. I want to add a comment to that. The flip side of that is that there will always be people who are eager to volunteer, but they only really want the title. So make sure you actually do have the time and the willingness to commit to the role and do what's expected of you. To put the intergenerational spin on that, I would suggest, and if anybody here has a different opinion, please jump in. I would suggest that the younger you are, or the junior in our organization, if you're a new member, it could go either way, the more likely you will feel pushed or compelled to say yes. And you need to do the same evaluation. Is it right for you? And is it something you feel you can commit to? Don't be pushed into it just because you're supposedly a younger or newer member of the group. Though it's great when younger and newer people step up. So, Carmen, you were next.
Well, Francesca, well, she didn't really steal what I was going to say, actually. We just discussed leadership roles within BPW and succession to these roles, and how this can be done with the younger people coming in. So it was really about encouraging them by bringing them to the board, to the top table within your own group, within your own club. First of all, get them interested in the other positions like the secretary, the treasurer, the events person. Get them, first of all, to be an assistant so they get to know about it. And if you can also bring some of them to the national board level of your country's board, they get really interested in BPW then, because again, it's like it's a succession where we teach them what it would be like to be on a national level and how interesting it is, because when you're down on the ground, a lot of people don't know what goes on further up the ladder. And it's about encouraging younger members you'll always spot probably a member a new member coming in who really wants to get involved, but they don't step forward. But if you can encourage them and bring them this way and get them involved, you'll find they'll stay, because there's a very thin line between them coming in and then leaving when nobody encourages them. So it's kind of also the people that are there for years and years, trying to get them to feel that, look, you have to let the younger people come up or else into these leadership roles, because they have new modern ideas that will keep the club going. And you'll find when you do bring them to the board, the national level board, they change the way you yourself think about BPW and what the future would hold. And it's progression for your club and for all your clubs in your country by really encouraging the younger members into leadership roles, because they're the future. You can't be in a leadership role all your life till you pass on. You have to let go sometimes. And I find that in BPW, a lot of people that are there for years and years, they don't want to go. So you'll have to try and look after both ends. That's what I'm saying.
Couldn't agree with you more, Carmen. Of course, we all have to learn what we don't know. So that would apply whether you're young or you're older, but a new member to BPW. You also would have to learn from people who have already been in these roles. I have two other hands there, so I'll call on you in a moment. In Hong Kong, when we set up this current club, which is the second one to be in Hong Kong, we set out a standard mentoring program, but also side by side with that, a reverse mentoring program, because we felt that younger people not only could learn from elders, which is the classic model, but that they also had a lot to give and that we should be learning from them. And you've touched on that as well. And newer ideas and more relevant to how business and organizations are being run today. So those of us who learned this sort of thing 30, 40, 50 years ago, we might not be current in our models. So now we may have continually re-upped our models. We can do that too. And on the other end, you said to take care of, we don't want to push people out, but so encouraging people at all ages, but separate from age, if you've already been in leadership for the last 30 years, it might be time to hand the reins over to somebody else. Sharing, maybe that's sharing. Okay, so I've got Joey and then Siobhan. Joey?
Hello. Hi, everyone. Yes, we had a good discussion in our team. We talked about, mixed leadership, mixed model where, as Anne, you mentioned, the younger generation, as the older generation maybe mentor them, that could be reverse mentoring in a sense that, so we talk about strengths, building on strength, and then what I'd like to add is that the understanding, the effort nowadays to understand the team members, because as a leader was brought up by Dawn as well, we need to understand our team members. But on the other hand, now with this platform, it's gone are the days where you go to an office, for example, where you can meet face to face, and you could have a more multidimensional way. So we will have to look at different way. And Anne was talking about showing kindness, being understanding, listening more, and I think that just now Francesca brought up, which I thought that we didn't discuss in our group, was self-care, the mental health aspect. So because we can be too tired now over technology, and then we get overboard and thinking that, yes, I'm at home, I should be okay, but actually not. I think the mental health is very important. And also the mental health of our team members as a leader. As now, we have to be very sensitive, to the needs, because there could be a lot of pressure from family, from kids maybe, or elderly parents at home, as we work in this, I would say, new kind of environment. Hopefully we can go back to normal, but I believe that it will be hard to be totally the same. It could be a hybrid situation. So, so the new skill set for the new leaders, I think communications, with real intent of listening, understanding, and then taking care of oneself in terms of the mental health is very important. That's my sharing.
Thanks, Joey. Maybe a new normal. I think back to normal is already canceled, but a new normal. Yeah. And communication, I would include digital. Digital skills are really important for leadership going forward, not just because of this, but because of it's, 2021. So that's important that we add those skills to our basket.
Yeah, actually, I also want to add on, we discussed this. I must say is that, yes, digital, my experience with my younger colleagues, they don't like to talk too much. They just like to text, for example. So we need to be very strict to the point, whereas the older generation, somehow is still very relationship. We like to talk about how's your family, how are you, before we actually go in. So there's no right or wrong. It's just that we have to be aware of the different style of communication.
Very good, very intergenerational. There are very different styles of communication now. Okay, Siobhan.
So our group sort of looked at a wee case study of one of the group members was a younger member, or a junior member, so to speak, that had been put in the role of president, or had put herself forward for the role of president in a club that had existing members that had quite a lot of experience and pretty firm thoughts, so to speak, about their approach or their expectations and how they would do things. And so we talked a bit about how to manage that. So it's important that junior or new and younger members are supported and encouraged and able to given the space to work in their style, to make decisions that they think are best. When we talked about some solutions around that, we touched on the importance of governing documents, and in New Zealand we use job descriptions, so that we have the fundamentals of our roles, and how the style or how we carry out those roles is up to us as individuals, but we have shared expectations around the tasks and functions. We talked about the value of a good handover. In New Zealand, we have an email address for the role, not for the individual, so that we can see past communications for the role. And it talked about the considerable amount of work they've done recently in her club, reviewing constitutional or governing documents, so that they're now much more familiar with them. And there's sort of, I think, experiential or generational differences in exposure to these documents, especially in New Zealand. You might have people that know them all off by heart. you have people that are becoming familiar with them. And so you've got to work together and communicate well to bring each other in the same place, and keep reviewing and updating these documents, because they need to be fit for purpose and fit for purpose in today and the way we work. Yeah. Leading on from what Francesca and Joey talked about, we kind of also finished, or we touched on how you often have some members who have great ideas, and then you have people that are great at doing the work, and how sometimes a leadership or president role can end up with quite a lot on their plate, and the importance of sharing the load and having an executive around you that share the load is just hugely important for well-being. Yeah, thanks.
Great, thanks, Siobhan. Okay, do we have anyone else who wants to jump in? Okay, Anne? We have 3 Anns in the room, but I'm one of them, so.
First of all, I want to say, I think this idea of reverse, what did you call it?
Reverse mentoring.
Yes, mentoring. I think that's a fabulous idea. And thank you, Siobhan. I couldn't possibly have done any better with a group that you did. You even made us sound like we really knew what we were doing. That was wonderful. So thank you, everybody. That was great. And that's my major comment for today.
Okay, thanks, Anne. So when we made the Hong Kong Club, we had the advantage, in a sense, of no one except for me having been a BPW member before. So we had a very fresh start, and that was in 2017. There had been a previous club, but it had died a couple of years before. So I was president for the first 2-year term, and I didn't want to run again. It needed to be someone else, someone younger, and someone Hong Kong Chinese, although it was a mixed club and still is. And our second president was 29 years old when she became president, and we had a wide range of ages of our members. But at 29, she'd already been a district leader in Toastmasters and president of a Hong Kong NGO. So age wasn't very relevant. She knew what she was doing. And I told her, look, this is my role as the immediate past president, but even if it wasn't, I will be a very invisible mentor behind you. It will never be coming from me. I'll never publicly advise you. Any question you have, come to me. And then you present it as your ideas and your knowledge. And so I think that's the way we can support someone, whether they're younger or whether just new to BPW. Don't take credit for it. Just help them and let them take all the credit. You know, be humble. But that to me is a way to support somebody in that role. They have their own gifts and skills, but if they have a gap or something they don't know, then we just need to quietly let them know so that they can go ahead confidently in what they're doing. The third president is now in place and she's 31. So there you go. Who else would like to jump in? Chantal.
Hi, everybody's been sharing all kinds of great knowledge and I appreciate that. I wanted to share something that we've been started to do more adeptly in the last year in BPW Ontario and BPW Canada. We have task forces, which are basically mini committees struck to do a specific job. And we had 2 at the BPW Ontario level, 1 for mentoring, and thank you to the BPW Hong Kong folks who talked to some of our members so that we could figure out how to set up our own mentoring program. And we started a meeting in January, the committee or the task force that was working on mentoring, and we presented our suggested way ahead at our big meeting in June, and it was approved, and we plan to launch in January next year. So that's exciting for us. We're starting to do an official mentoring program, and we've got more active committees on the national level where we've got a BPW Canada membership committee, for example, where we've split all the clubs across our country, and each member of the membership committee is reaching out to their 4 or 5 clubs to do a one-on-one discussion of what can we at BPW Canada do to help you at your club level so that moving forward, we're providing the support that you need. And we started with a survey, and now we're just over the summer, we're having meetings with the clubs. And then we're going to gather all that up and share it with BPW Canada executive and then all the way down to the clubs. So my point is, committees and task forces are a good way to get people involved, and it's a short duration because you have a purpose, and then that gives them a taste for maybe they want to do more in BPW later.
Dr. Ann-Hilty, you're on mute.
Oh, thank you. Now it's me. Okay, thanks, Chantal. And Troy Ennis, our other Anne. We're rich in Anns today.
Absolutely. I just wanted to add to that what Chantal was talking about. What we did in one of our local clubs here, where in Kiel, in the north of Germany, was that we, one of our club members was visiting New Zealand and Australia, and she brought back to us the keys to achievement, the self-development program. And we translated and localized that to suit our club members. And this was absolutely brilliant for helping the committees in administration tasks. And we had 3 levels. There's bronze, silver, and gold. And the tasks, they get a little more difficult. Bronze is local, silver was national, and then gold was international, where you had different aspects of BPW where you could get involved. And it was absolutely brilliant for supporting the club. And I would recommend something like that for every club, because I think it was mentioned already, it's sharing the load, building little parcels, and everybody carries a small parcel to build up the whole club.
Great, thanks, Anne. So we had in the other series that I run with Dr. Yasmin Darwich, the leadership series, we had a webinar about a year ago in which Susan Jones was mentioning the keys to achievement, but it wasn't really about that. This was developed in BPW New Zealand and then adapted by BPW Australia. And it's leadership training and involvement, we could say, learning by doing. We will, in that series, arrange to have a full webinar on that. So look forward to that, because that, I think, is a very good program. Okay, we have just a few more minutes, and we are going to wrap up in a new way compared to our previous sessions in this group. And that is by using a whiteboard. And let's just move this over. Let's see. Give me a moment. Okay. Okay, anybody, just unmute. I can't see you now because of the whiteboard. Just unmute and tell me one thing you've learned today. Something new for you. Anyone?
Reverse mentoring. I think it's a fabulous idea.
Okay. Thank you. Who else?
Chantal, keys to achievement.
Okay, that's actually a program, so let's change that. Okay. Anyone?
Hold strength on diversity.
Okay, say that again. I missed the first word.
Hold, as in how can we gather the strength from diversity. This was discussed in our small group.
Okay.
Fast sharing.
Again, I can't see you, so say again.
I said task sharing.
Thank you.
Task sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Succession roles.
Okay, anyone else?
The importance of well-being.
Okay, Please.
It's
Okay.
okay to say no.
Okay, another?
We talked about strategic planning, so the importance of strategic planning.
Okay. That's my own, leadership at all ages. Don't assume because one is young or even new to BPW that they're not ready for leadership. They may well be.
Encouragement, encouraging people to step up.
Being an assistant first before taking a position.
The importance of team building.
This is another key one that I heard, especially if you're in the lead role.
I think that applies even if you're not in the lead role.
Sure. But that as the leader, it is important to understand your team members. You're absolutely right, Francesca.
Assigning tasks to people's interests.
Okay, and one more. Or not. Okay. So there we have it. Take just a moment to look through those and stopping the sharing. Okay. So I want to say a great thank you to all of you for participating in this lively and really important and relevant dialogue. And we come away from this, I think, with a lot of fresh ideas and reinforcing things we already knew, and maybe even more openness across all generations when it comes to leadership. And let's continue this discussion in our individual clubs and federations and encourage that to happen at the international level. And we will be back next month. In the meantime, in 3 weeks from today will be the other leadership series, and then this one 2 weeks after that. Nilima, do you have any closing words?
Okay. It was nice to hear what everybody has to say about, women and leadership across different generations, because I just am like not young anymore, and I'm like entering the different worlds of BPW members, which I think will be beneficial for me, because what I have seen is when you are tagged as a young member, there is a lot of, high expectations. And then if you don't do it, it becomes really tough for, people to get, other opportunities. I think it will be a lot easier that way. But without also, while saying this, looking at the president of Hong Kong, which is like the youngest, she inspires me. So we have to see a different generation of leaders who inspire us. Like we said, like the prime minister of Finland, 34, she's way younger than me. She's running the country. So if she can run the country, I would like to see, a young girl by 2030 in BPW to be a BPW president. So hopefully that will work out. And I think if we start this conversation flowing, it will be a lot easier for the young members to achieve what we couldn't achieve. So let's work on it. And thank you so much.
Thanks, Nilima. So we'll just mention to all of you, as you know, this is being recorded. In the past, these dialogues were not uploaded to the internet afterward, but we will in this second round be doing that. And so there will be a new YouTube channel for intergenerational dialogues in BPW. And this first one will be there, and it will be there within the next 24-ish hours and announced on our Facebook page. So thanks again to one and all. Lovely to see your faces and hear your words of wisdom, and hope to see you again very soon. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Everyone.
Thank you. Bye.